Disclaimer: the views expressed on this episode of Perspective Platoon with Prateek are solely the opinions of the host and the guest. The content of the conversation is not reflective of the institutions or establishments mentioned therein. Take all these opinions with a pinch of salt and a dash of lime if needed.
But yeah, like going back to what I just said earlier, isn't that a good thing being different? Because I think a lot of the times we feel like we need to follow this template of being the same. Isn't that a good thing though? Like the fact that you're different and the fact that I am different and the fact that people around me are different.
Dude, Prateek, I absolutely love the way I have. I don't know how, but like this, I'm not always been this way. I'm so sorry. It's
It's
just
all good. It's all good.
shattering. Prateek, it was a bike. FYI, it was a bike, not a car.
Really?
Yes, I know the sounds that go from here. It was a
Yeah.
bike. It's just earth shattering, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, coming back to what I was saying. Um, sorry, what was I saying?
You're talking about differences and how we're all different.
Yeah, dude, I am this person now. It's like if the world goes left, I want to go right. Like indefinitely, until and unless I have a clear answer why they are going left. There's a good reason they're going left because there's something wrong or dangerous. Okay, otherwise, I just want to stand different. It defines me, dude. It defines me. I kid you not. I love this part about myself. And I think I can't say it's for everyone. Like not everyone can be different because people have issues, man. People have like acceptance issues. They're like, oh, what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not accepted? What if for me, I'm like, screw that. I don't care. This is the way I am. If you like me, fair enough. If you don't like me, again, fair enough. No judgments. This is who I am. So I love being different, dude. Honestly, I think it is a very important character defining things for me. I genuinely love being different, and sometimes because of the way I am, like I might not have strong reasons, but I just end up being different, and that works out for me. That just works out for me. It's like you wanna be, you always stand different because of your choices, but sometimes you're like, no, I'll just be different for the heck of it. I'll just be different because I want to be different. That's it. And it works out because I'm like, okay, because people say, okay. I'm also same. It's not like I always walk the opposite direction. Sometimes, I still use the same iPhone as the rest of the world. But where I'm different is I use a different, like I have an iPhone SE, which has a touch ID. I like touch ID. I don't like face ID. That's where my difference comes in. I still have an iPhone, which the world uses, so I'm same in that regard. But where I'm different is I prefer Touch ID over Face ID because I feel it's more secure. When I drive, I don't need to look at the phone. I can just blindly, unlock it. And I think the satisfaction of the button and the satisfaction of using an iPhone and the OS is through the home button. And I still have an iPhone SE. I have a video on my iPhone SE. If you stop by my YouTube someday, when I go in depth, you might have realized till now the moment that we've been talking. If I go in depth into something, I literally just go my guts out. Like I'm neck deep, nose deep into that shit, like in no time. So I am same, but I know where to have my differences. Is what I like to end this with. Yeah.
No,
That's
I mean,
my
hey, and it works for you. So why change? I mean, of course, change is good. Like learning is good. Of course, I'm not going to say that it's not, but you can still be you can still be abashedly you, like you said earlier.
Yes, unabashedly me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to ask you this. Do you think it's just that FOMO, or as the kids call it, or like the fear of missing out, that stops people from wanting to be different?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's quite true. can't comment a lot because no, actually I can. I had a phase in school. I'll keep this short. I had a phase in school where I was, I was like, okay, let's keep it this way. I think I am above average looking. Like, I won't say I'm the most handsome or best looking guy in whatever, but I think I'm above average, if not average. And same goes for you. You're above average. But in school, I'm talking about elementary, second elementary, 11th and 12th. I was constantly in the mix between all kinds of friends. I had, this is um, one bad good habit. If you can understand this, it's a good habit, but it's bad for me.
Yeah,
I can deal with any kind of company. You give me the worst of people, you give me the best of people. I will gel with both of them. I will get along. I don't have that problem. So in school, I was in 11th and 12th. I was kind of constantly in the mix between those people. I was with loners. I was with the Mallu gang. I was with my friends from school. I was with the popular hi-fi kids. I was with all of them. And I was like, where do I fit, man? As in, I was with the geeks, with the nerds, I was so much into technology and phones. So on social media, I always had FOMO. I had a fear of missing out. I'm like, man, I don't fit anywhere. I'm not with the hi-fi people. The loners are alone. If I go with them, two people are not alone. How do you fit alone? I'm like, I'm not for sure I don't fit there. So, and then the Mallu gang is something else. And no offense, they're all nice people in their own regard. But I had that fear. But I think after going to university, actually, a lot of my my character development has to do with my phase of depression, Prateek. I have gone through severe depression, and you won't believe this was, of course, when you talk of depression, somewhere or the other, there has to be a girl, there has to be a feminine, female aspect to it. That's so bad. I mean, like females are, I think, they are denounced because of this, like, oh, depression, pakka ladki ka chakkar. Like, oh, there's something has to do with a female. But it's true for me because it changed me upside down, Prateek. Absolutely, like 360 degree. I can proudly say this. I have only been with one girl all my life, entire life. I've only dated one person. And that has been enough for me. That was like enough of an experience. I'm like, I don't want any more. I'm like, not like I fear. Somewhere down the lane, I do have a fear. But the way that female changed me, Prateek, she completely, like, I don't know how to tell you this. It has been the most life-changing experience. After my, I won't call her ex, like I never call her, like so many things, so many perceptions of me changed. I grew as a human. I learned to handle myself. I like being alone. I became independent. I self-awareness, self-sufficient is what I am today. I enjoy being alone. I don't mind. You give me a room, tell me to sit there for 15 hours, and right at the last minute, 14 hours and 59 seconds, I'll be like, can I have one more hour because I was just enjoying this. I'm not kidding. Like, I don't know this. And this development for me, this self-realization, it's like only I know what I've gone through. Like nobody else, everyone experiences, everyone has phases in their life. Everyone goes through certain development processes and phases, as I said. So to each his own. But for me, this has been such a positive thing. When I broke up with my girl, I was 16 years old. I was 16 years old. You can call it as I don't know. It wasn't a fluke, not a fluke, but we were together for like 3 months. But the amount of times we met each other a week was a lot. It's like if you say maybe in a relationship people have been down like for 2, 3 years, 5 years. It's not a relationship. It's more of like a habit that two people develop for each other. Oh, I have a habit of talking, or I have a habit of doing things with him, or whatever. For me, it was never a habit. It was more like such a different thing, like interacting with the opposite gender, especially when like the female is the one to approach you. Because again, as I told you, I was again and this happened during 11th and 12th. We're talking 8-9 years back now. I'm talking 2013. Okay, I was in 11th grade, and just imagine, I just told you I was in the mix of all kinds of friends. I'm like, where do I fit? And suddenly, I am seeing someone, and suddenly I become the cool type in my own eyes. I'm like, damn, I have a girlfriend. I'm cool now. And just after 3 months, it just changes my life, dude. I go into severe depression. The breakup happens for a very logical but kind of very sad reason back then. Of course, parents' involvement.
Yeah.
From both ends. But I think it's for the best, because 11th and 12th is not the age where you think of marriage and all that shit. You're not even matured. But I think that is where my graph goes up and down, first down and then up. I was in severe depression, Prateek, for a month for sure. Like, I would cry every night. I would literally cry every night. Just one reason. If I think if we retrospect and introspect about this part of my life, I just met a girl who approached me. We were together for 3 months, and we didn't even like. It's not like we crossed boundaries. We did some bad shit. No, it was extremely platonic. Let me clear that. Like, there's nothing. That physical attachment. Nothing. No, I was 15, 16.
Yeah.
I was nothing. But just the fact of being with her, I don't know, gave me some kind of confidence, some kind of emotional support, just love. And as they say, that was first love can never be repeated. Like, first love is true love. Blah blah. I'm sure everybody has experienced. I'd like to ask you the same, in fact, later on, about first love and all. And that is, if you would want to share. But again, I'm just keeping it to the surface, but I'm still telling you.
Yeah.
So, we broke up because parents were like, oh, finish your studies. Like, this is not the age. And I think my parents had a very wrong notion about
relationship.
Yes. So I remember, again, I don't know if I should be saying this out loud, but it's like my father termed it wrongly. And I tried to correct him, and he just slapped me. He's like, so you're the one who will correct me now? It was such a funny thing. And my father thought I'd done something very terrible, very wrong. He's like, do you know what can happen with the girl? I'm like, where are you even going? What are you talking about? Like, she can go to the police. You'll be in jail. I'm like, I didn't even touch her. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's just, it's just funny shit, dude.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, and I went to depression, and I came out of it on my own. Of course, God was by my side, and the only person or the thing that helped me through was Shahrukh Khan. As cliche or as lame it might sound, it's true. It's like the man's journey, the man's hard work, the man's movies, the man's thoughts, his words, everything is an inspirational bit to me. You tell me anything wrong that you've said, and I'll tell you why he said it. I'll tell you the context, and I'll tell you the reason of what he meant or what he didn't mean by what he said. I am so connected with him. I'm so deeply rooted with Shahrukh Khan. It's like, if you remove Shahrukh Khan, I can't picture my life. It's as simple as that. I don't know. It's just he's such a tremendous part of not only my life, but a lot of people do. He's like, unknowingly, like, the things that he does. And then I think it's the same for all. Like, if people have idols, if you have them for good reason, it can change your life for all the positives. He has bad habits. I'm not saying he's the perfect person. He smokes. He's a chain smoker. He's an alcoholic. I don't know about drugs and all. For me, not bad habit, but like again another habit. These are things that I don't inhibit from him. I don't take from him. Like inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit. Like you
Yeah.
don't.
I like that.
Inhale good stuff, yeah. I mean, keep away the bad stuff. So all of these habits, I never got them. Thank God, I'm a gym freak. And one more habit that I never got from him is playing soccer. Yeah, he plays FIFA. I don't know, for some reason I can never develop a liking for football. I watch. I know the teams. I know the players. I just don't know. It's just like it's not enough sense to me. I'm like, there's so much going on in cricket. There's a bat,
Yeah.
there's a ball, there are 11 players. There's again, two teams are same, but like the ball's being hit, there is timing, there's so much things. Football is just about people running behind one ball. I'm like, can it have some more depth? With due respect to the game, it's more popular worldwide. It's more known worldwide. I get it. But what are people doing? They're just running behind ball. I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't excite me. Just my outlook.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, this is what I could never inhibit from Shah Rukh Khan. Anyway, so this is what my character or my personality development arc has been like. I'm sorry I digressed so much. I forgot your
It's okay.
question.
It's okay. No worries.
Just want to
Very good.
reiterate it. What did you ask in the first place? Where did I end up going from what you asked?
Honestly, I can't remember, but I liked what you brought up because it was about FOMO. There we go. It's back. It's about FOMO.
Oh yeah, FOMO. Yes.
Yeah, it was about the fear of missing out.
Yes, I did have FOMO. Go on. Yeah.
No. Were you gonna add something to that?
No. I'm just saying it just to keep it short. Yes, I did have a fear of missing out. I was denying it, but I did have a FOMO. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we all do at a certain point. Because when we're in that teenage phase, we all want to be the cool people. We all want to be the people that are liked the most. We all want to seek that sense of validation.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a lot of things that you expect when you're in. Like, I'm not saying this relationship as in like a romantic or like a girlfriend boyfriend sort of relationship, but your relationship with friends too, like the friendships that you have, you tend to have a lot of expectations for them and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
But all of these things sort of find their way to spank you on your rear end to remind you, look, that is not what matters. This is what matters.
Yeah.
So, and if correct me if I'm wrong, your relationship that you had with the female friend that you had for 3 months was sort of like that moment of self-realization. Similarly, for me, there are things that have happened that not just girl related, but friendships related in general, or occurrences in general in life that have sort of like been that spanking that remind you, look, as much as you're chasing that one thing just because you're fearful of missing out, here's what you're actually missing out on that actually matters.
Yeah.
So because just to sort of, because you mentioned this earlier, or you thought you wanted to ask me about this. A few of my close friends know about this, but I actually never been in a relationship.
Okay.
Not to say that I've never tried. I've tried.
Okay.
But the time that I tried the most was actually 2019. Was it 2019?
2 years. 2 years back. Okay.
2 years back. Yes, 2 years back. 2019.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Yes.
Good times.
Yeah. This is pre-COVID, and I've spoken. I'm in good terms with the person. I'm not going to mention her name, but so I used to work with her through the organizations that I used to be a part of. And before anybody freaks out being like, I don't know if she'd be open to me saying this, I've already spoken to her about this beforehand because I knew there would be a point where I would have to talk about this. And she's okay with it. So, this is just for those people who might freak out listening to me saying this.
Okay.
But so I met her at the university, and she's a really attractive person. Like, I'm going to give her that. And for me, what I've noticed in the crushes that I've had or the feelings that I've attached towards people, and I'm not tooting my own horn over here. It's not because they're attractive. It's because it's this sort of personality. It's the personality that they have. It's the sort of people that they are. And this person just I don't know what it was. It just drew me. Something about her just drew me. Like her
Head over heels, yes. Sweep the floor,
like
sweep
her
the
bubbly
floor.
personality sort of blew me towards her.
You away, yeah.
Right. So initially I had feelings. Well, I saw feelings coming up towards the end of 2018. I want to say September, October, November, that time, because that's when we actually started working together as part of the council that I was a part of. And then, but I buried those down. I was like, look, no time for this shit. But put it down, move on. But then again, like we started working again together for the council and for like some events that we had again in February, around February 2019. So that's when, like, because don't get me, I had those feelings from September, October, whatever, 2018. Right. They were just sort of like, I suppressed them to not let them go out. So like this happening again in February sort of lit the fire again for me. So, I ended up, like, I tried talking to her often. I tried talking to her often and then like sort of gestured in a couple of ways through text about, we should go on a date or do something. But then this one time, that's when I got really impatient. And that's one, I guess, a lesson about being impatient for me. But no, like, before I delve into go into different tangents, let me finish the story first. There's a lot of things popping up in my head.
I think it happens. Go on.
But yeah, so I was texting my friends, telling them that she ignored the message that I sent to her about hanging out. So they were like, you know what, give it another shot. Maybe you sent a bunch of messages and she must have just lost it in translation. So I sent it again and nothing came. It was for a good 5-6 hours, nothing came. I think she responded to something else, but not to that. So
that lit the fire, dude. Like, what? I know how you feel.
And my big brain at that moment was like, okay, I'm going to ask my friend, like, am I doing something wrong? So what I did was I took a screenshot of that, right? I took a screenshot of the message that I sent to her and I sent it to my friend. Well, I thought I sent it to my friend, but I ended up sending it to her.
Oh my God, that's a hell of horror. Oh my God. Okay.
And when I realized that, so while this was happening, we were actually at an event like out of the area. We had been to a different university to sort of perform for an event. And I was with a few of my friends and I was talking to them about this. And suddenly I pull up my phone and I see, this went to the wrong person. And I tell them, everybody just sunk. Like, or at least I felt like everything over there sank. I was like,
yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. What did you do?
But then I was like, you know what? There's no way I can hide from this now. Now she knows.
Yeah.
And I feel like girls are very intuitive about stuff like this. They know. They catch on.
Yes, absolutely. Before we hint it, they know it. They just, they have it.
Yeah. So, but the good thing is that she was really gracious to talk to me because I was like, look, I know I've just shared something with you that I didn't want for you to find out this way. But I'd love to explain myself if you don't mind me explaining myself to you. So yeah, she gave me an hour of her day for us to sit down and talk it out and figure it out.
Well, like in person or on chat?
In person.
Oh, nice.
She came to my apartment and then we spoke because we lived in the same apartment, like apartment complex. Because like this is sort of like not necessarily student housing, but like a lot of students live in this area.
Right.
So so we spoke and we like sort of hashed it out and like that whole experience was just a lesson in terms of expectations that I set for people. Like how I jump to conclusions about certain things and all that. So there's a ton of things that I learned from it that have for sure, I don't know if they've made me a better person or not, but they've certainly made me realize a few things about the way that I thought about my relationships or the way that I assessed my expectations with people, because I set huge expectations. And, the daydreaming that boys do when you sort of, you're head over heels for a girl. I was at research lab. I was working at research lab. And while doing research, I'm here dreaming about dumb stuff. in another world, like those are also in a way like some sense of expectations that you're setting, right? Like you're setting yourself up for those expectations. And unfortunately, if it doesn't work out, you're setting yourself up for failure. So, it broke my heart. I'm not going to lie. It broke my heart. But she was very kind enough to still be friends with me and talk to me even after that. We don't meet as much because she's a busy person. Fair enough. We all have things happen in our life that keep us busy. But the way that she treated me and the way that the other person after that I had feelings for and that I asked out, both times they failed. But the way that they treated me shows you that there is good in humanity, firstly. And second of all, as much as you might have feelings for another person, at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. You can set all the expectations you want. In your dreams, I was going to say this in Hindi, but sapno mein tum bacche bhi bana sakte ho, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can make kids in your dreams, but if it's not meant to happen, going back to believing that everything happens for a reason, if it's not meant to be, it'll not be.
It will not,
So like that was a huge lesson for me in terms of expectations and things like that. Because a part of it, there's a part of the story that I'm not entirely sharing, but we can talk about this off air because I don't want to mention this. But because I don't want everybody to know.
Yeah, I get the point, dude.
Yeah, when the time is right, we can talk about it, but not now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just want to add to this. Yeah, I finish it.
No, but that's about it. That's about it in terms of like the lesson that I learned. The huge lesson that I learned from that was expectation, because I set an expectation. I expected for it to work out, even without necessarily completely telling the person what I felt or how I felt about her.
Yeah.
Because we in the friendships that we have, we tend to set expectations, or even in the groups that we work in. Like if you're working in a council, you set expectations for the people that you're working with. Do this, or in your head, you're like, yeah, they should be able to do this. Why can't they do this? But then you need to remind yourself that, look, they have their own basket to deal with.
Their own shit, maybe they're not meant to either. Yeah, true.
That was a huge lesson in that, honestly.
That is so true. And I think what the common ground here is, Prateek, the females in both our lives. I think the person on the other side matters a lot. I mean, let's say the female in your life and also the female in my life, if they were shit people, if they were just those arrogant female bees, I don't want to use the term. I'm generally I'm generally very respectful. I know you are too, for a fact. The way you are as a person tells a lot about how you what do you say? How you describe or how you address. The address is the word. How you address certain things. So I know you are very respectful with females. You don't need to tell me that. I just know you. I can see you in and out. I know you're good with females. Same goes for me. So if the females in our lives were not what they were, we wouldn't have turned out this way. We would have gone on another track maybe. If the females would have not been so generous, so kind to talk or to explain or to handle the shit that we went through. Not necessarily that they put on us, but we put on ourselves. Again, as you said, expectation. We had those expectations set for ourselves. So if the female were not so, it's a very very mature thing, dude. It's a very understanding thing. कैसे बोलते हैं, सूझे समझे हुए in Hindi. It's like a very sorted, like you're a very stable-minded person that you can handle this cordially, very in a civil manner. Otherwise, which female puts in this much effort? They can just brush it off and just show you a middle finger and be like, get off. The other person matters a lot, and see, this is what helps the character development. For me, and I think even for you, as you're saying, you learn. So I think that, as you said, this is what proves that yes, there is still good in humanity, and I laugh at that because it's true. Not a lot of people do this. And I think that gives us hope to also somehow, somewhere hang into the good that we have. If we don't need to bring up that good more often and just cling on to that, just hang on to the good that we have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a very nice arc for you and for me also.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know that meme is to Babu Bhai wala Babu Rao. It's like औरत का चक्कर बाबू भाई. It's so true. It's like you are in a female. If there's a female in the loop in your life, that's it. There is drama for sure, whether good or bad, something for sure. Anyway.
Yeah, and again, this is not a judgment of women in general. This is just
no, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's just us talking on this. No
exactly,
judgments.
Exactly. People to each their own. To each their own.
Yeah.
They were generous. They were generous enough to be gracious to us. It worked out well for us. Even though our not what we wanted, but this is. I feel like this is sort of like we're nicely tying a bow to everything that we mentioned earlier. Even though it's not what we wanted, it's something that was better for us. Yes.
One small question that I'd like to ask you. Before you tried to be in a relationship, or before you thought of asking a girl out and all, like we all have preconceived notions of relationships and like girlfriend, boyfriend, all of that. What was your thought? And if it has changed now, what is your thought on being friends with your ex? Now that you say that you talk, was it different before that you were with her or tried to be with her? That what, if we ever break up, or if I ever am not in touch with a girl, I will never talk to my ex, or I can never do that. Did you have that notion, or has it changed now, or what is it?
Again, not to toot my own horn, I think it depended. It was dependent on how the person treated me.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I've had another experience where I haven't had feelings for a person, but another person had feelings for me. And I didn't meet their expectations, and then they decided to not want to talk to me. So fine, I'm not going to try and come into your life and want to talk to you. I'm not going to be that sort of, like they would say in Hindi, like shani. Like I didn't intend to be the shani in her life, so I stayed away. And the same thing, like if they were, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have tried. If I wanted to stay friends with them, I would have tried. But if they said no, it's a no. You walk away. Simple as that. You don't need to try to win them over if they've already closed that chapter of their lives.
Absolutely. You don't need to reopen that book. That's true.
Exactly. What is it? What are you trying to justify? What are you trying to prove? Whom are you trying to prove it to? To nobody. Because don't get me wrong. A part of me was like, and I can go into detail about this off air, but a part of me did hope that things would turn around, but they didn't. And so that was meant to be. And now I'm a better human being for it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just those things like that. And to answer your question, I do think that it was more so sort of dependent on that person. If they wanted to talk, I would talk. If they didn't want to talk, I wouldn't talk.
Okay.
If you would ask, because I think in high school, like you get paired up with people and you get made fun of. At that point in time, sure, I didn't talk to those people because I didn't want anything to do with it, But now, like, exactly. But grown up, being slightly more of age now, not that I'm of age at all, but like now that I'm of some age, I can still go back and talk to those people, even if I've been paired with those people or anything. I don't feel any sort of negativity towards them. So,
okay. Well, very nice answer. For me, it was a very closed off thing. Just I'll keep it short again.
Yeah.
For me, I had this preconceived notion. I was like, no, I can never be friends with my ex. Like, how can you justify being friends with your ex? How can you be friends with your ex? Sorry, my phone just went off.
It's okay. No worries.
How can you be friends with your ex? Like, she's your ex. Why did you break off in the first point? Like, how did you even break up in the first place then? If you can be friends later, means there is no issue, no problem whatsoever. So I never understood that. I'm like, no, that's not happening. But the way things are with my, I don't even call her my ex. I call her one of the oldest friends that I have. I describe her in the best way possible. It's like I call her the best mistake of my life. It might be cliche, but I'm like, yeah, okay, it was a mistake, but it's the best because it taught me so many things. That's why it's the best. Again, like I'm a person of logic and reasoning. I would say, if you ever, like, I tell this to everyone, if you ever don't find logic attached to my name, or if you don't find reason with me, like, just question me or just kill me and bury me. Like, I cannot work without logic. If there's no logic, I'm sorry. If I don't understand it, I'm sorry. I'm out of it.
Right.
So I could never, I always had, I'm like, I will never be friends with my ex. But the way things are with my ex right now, we still talk on and off. Sometimes, it's just random. It's not like, oh, I feel like I want to remember her. I'm sad. No, not that way. Very genuinely, we just talk on Insta sometimes. And perhaps that is the only times when I open Insta, like I'm like, okay, let's just check on her, stuff like that. See, again, the impact that she's had on me, the impact is only known to me, and it started her because my like she's a psychologist now. I believe I can say that. And you know how girls who get into psychology, they just want to study everything and everyone. So I think she had, and it's not wrong. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Also, I think apart from that part also, like, she genuinely as a human wants to know what impact she had on me. I'm like, you know what, let's just, like, we just talk over it. I don't want to do it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so excited to tell her what she did unknowingly, unwantingly, what she did affected me, what she taught me, what, like, how much of an important person she is in my life in terms of helping me develop, helping me mature, helping me understand things, so many things. And I think if you tell these things to a person of like, all these valuable things, I think, that person becomes, that it humbles the other person, also it humbles you down.
Right.
Because you are telling what you are, you are describing what you are because of another person to the same person because of who you are. I don't know if that's a tongue twister, but you get what I said, right? I think I am so excited. Like, I'm like, okay, whenever so she's studying abroad right now. I'm like, okay, whenever you come back someday, let's just have a chat over it, coffee, whatever. And I'd like to tell you, like, no, I genuinely want to know. Like, I see you, you're in my good books ever. Like, we only have nice things to say to each other. And I never thought this was possible, because I told you, because of my notion, I'm like, I can never be friends with my ex. And that falsified for me. I had a good reason. So, things change. Perceptions are never permanent. One thing I realize in life is no one and nothing is permanent. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And the earlier we realize this fact and wrap it around our head and utilize it in our lives, I think it's going to sort us. Because, Prateek, nothing is permanent. Tell me one thing which is permanent except God. Not you, not me, not this life, not our parents, not this phone, not this laptop, not this plant, not this. Anything that you can ever think of, nothing is permanent. We are all temporary in this life that God has bestowed upon us. And we have come alone, we have to go back alone. Doesn't mean that you spend your life alone. That's another thing. God has bestowed us with life. We have to reap the benefits of it in certain ways. I was after my breakup. I was such an anti-female guy. Like, I was like, what, screw females. I will accomplish my life alone, and to some extent, I'm still on that. But now I'm like, no, man, that's a very juvenile thought, because somewhere or the other, we do need a partner. We do need someone to rather, complete us, or maybe give us a reality check, a head check, or just shake us and be like, what, your perspective is wrong. You need to think in other ways. We all need that kind of person.
Yeah.
So I think, my knowledge, I mean, my thinking after I broke up was, I'll never marry. Like, I didn't want to marry. I'm like, screw females. I have become an extremist. I'm like, you know what? I don't need marriage. I'm like, I'm happy, and all the other sort of thing that you're thinking of is like, apna haath Jagannath. I'm like, I'm happy. I don't need anyone. I'm self-sufficient. I'm independent. I'll die alone. I was that kind. I still am to some extent. But yeah, that doesn't restrict me from talking to female. But one thing that has happened is I'm very, very selective now. Very, I make sure that I'm very sure of things. If I'm not sure of something, I'm not into it. This part of life that I've learned, I'm so glad and grateful. Firstly to God and obviously to this female as well. I think it's so important for you to know as a person what you are or what you want to be sure of, what you want to do, what it's like you just need to be sure. If you aren't sure, it's just like you're just cheating yourself. Do you want to do that with your life? Like no, you shouldn't cheat yourself. You should know what you want, what you like, where you want to be. A lot of things. So I'm literally filled with gratitude with what all with the events that have taken place in my life, and I think we all should be that way. No matter how bad or good things life has been, we all need to have that gratitude. Somewhere or the other, God compensates that gratitude also for us. Although gratitude is for us to show our thankfulness and love to Him, sort of like we can never give back to God. I think we are nothing, we are no one. What will we give? He gave life to us. What can we ever give Him? What we can do is worship Him, value Him, and that is also for us. If we don't do that, there's nothing that's gonna reduce God's shine or His glow. It won't ever matter affect Him. It's again like just see how selfless God is. He made us, He created us, and the only thing that we can give in return to Him is worship Him, remember Him, do good stuff. And that also in turn is for us, not for Him ultimately. So do you see how selfless God is? When God can be this selfless, yeah, we are humans, man. Come on, we can be selfless. And I think people are not selfless, people are selfish today. It's okay to some extent. There should be a balance of both selfish and selfless. I think people are more selfish, like 80, 70, 80% selfish and very less selfless. Because again, it's like a herd of sheep going, okay, everyone is being selfish, I will also be selfish. And nobody thinks. That's what I hate today. People don't think. Like zombies. People are zombies today for me. I hate that. Anyway, that's that.
No, I think this is like what you just said towards the end of everything happening for a reason, talking about God or the universe. It beautifully like comes back full circle because we started off talking about this. Yeah. And we've come towards this point, talking about this. I don't know how long we've been going, probably about two something hours.
2 hours, yeah. I think,
2+ hours, yeah. No, but this is awesome. Like, I'm glad that we were able to do this.
It's gonna be a very long session for you. Hey, let me know if you need help, man. I'll help you with Premiere Pro. Don't worry.
No, yeah. I mean, if you could just let me know about that plugin, we're all set.
I will absolutely.
Yeah. Other than that, we can transition into the word association segment that we talked off air, called Bish Bash Bosh. So basically, I will give you 5 different words, and to each of those words, you have to respond to them in 3 words or in 3 different phrases. For example, if I was to say God, omnipotent, whatever words that come to your mind, the 3 different words that come to your mind.
So 3 always, 3 for sure?
Yes, if you can't think of anything, it's fine. But if you want to add something, that's fine too. But 3 is sort of the average expected.
Do you have like a hot take or an outtake on what I answer with, or it's just for you to know?
So like the main reason is because these 5 words stay consistent with every guest that comes on. And these 5 words for me are sort of like part of the principle behind me starting this as a project. Which is why I just ask everybody the same 5 words to see how they respond to them, to sort of draw the lines and sort of connect us in one way or another. So that's a simple goal. That's a simple sort of principle of it. Yeah, that's about it. But does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, it does.
Okay, cool. So the first word is differences. What comes to your mind? What are the first things that pop up in your head when I say the word differences?
Differences, I think they are good. Differences are important. Differences are inevitable. Differences are everywhere. That's what I like to say.
I like that. The second word is nuance. What comes to your mind when I say the word nuance?
I think being not very many words, but nuances. I think I'd like to equate them to acquaintances in life, because nuance is such a word which describes but also not describes. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like you're describing about something or an instance or whatever it is with a special characteristic, but you might not tell everything. So nuance is, I think, very layered, I'd say. Nuance is special, and nuance can be funny. Yeah.
I like it. The third word is learning. What comes to your mind when I say the word learning?
Learning, I think, is infinite. Learning never stops. If a person, who always, again, based on the infinity theme, if you don't want to learn, you cannot be taught. I read this on Twitter. Makes so much sense. If you don't, just give it a thought. If you don't want to learn, you cannot be taught. You have to have that spirit of learning. You have to have an open mindset of absorbing, and learning never stops. I think learning is infinite and never ending. Those are my three words.
Awesome. The fourth word is empathy. What comes to your mind when I say the word empathy?
I think empathy is important. I think we all need to be empathetic in our lives, somewhere or the other. We can't always ignore the things that happen in life, whether it be, empathy is always, I think, equated with emotional stuff, if I'm not wrong. I think we all need to have a little bit of empathetic approach with us. It helps us as a person. I think it makes us humble. And I think empathy is, I think, a word that I remind myself of is confusion. People often confuse empathy with sympathy. I mean, when it's such a simple thing, sympathy is something else. And like, there's a fine line, empathize and sympathize. So I think confusion is a word. I think a third word would be, I think again, importance. I think all the words that you've been asking are so important, and I think they're good words. So yeah.
Cool. For the last word of this segment, what comes to your mind when I say the word similarities?
Similarities. Wow. Again, full circle. The first word was difference. Last word is similarity. Similarities are. I'd like to be very diplomatic. Similarities are very. Similarities are important, but going back to the first word that you asked, differences. It's okay to have similarities, but if you don't know what makes the difference, there's no point of being similar. I don't know if that makes sense again. But if you don't know what makes the difference, if you only know your similarities, that similarities are of no point, because the other person or the other thing or whatever else is there similar. What's the difference? I think difference is what defines similarities. If there is zero difference, that's when you can have similarities. Man, I don't know how I come up with this shit sometimes, but I think difference and similarities are interlinked. And I think I'd like to end on this note, which I truly believe. It's a quote by Mahatma Gandhi. I truly, truly believe this. Read it in school, and it has so much power. People don't take it seriously, but the quote is, just a little bit of context. We all want the world in a certain way. We all want things in a certain way. We see things in a certain way. We are all different, and we want change. Change is inevitable. Like, you can't stop changing, everything will change someday. Nothing is, again, my themes are very similar, like, nothing is permanent, everything is temporary. So temporary means change is always around the corner. So change is inevitable, and what you want to see in the world can only be achieved by you. So the quote is, be the change that you want to see in the world. That's
Yeah.
what I really value so much by Gandhi. I don't know if it's truly said by Gandhi, there are so many memes these days. They'll write whatever kuch bhi likh denge, niche
Yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very nice quote, and I truly believe in that. So whatever change a person wants to see in the world, he has to bring it within himself and then do it himself in the world for others to see. And then I think that's when the saying holds itself true. So yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to end this segment of
Thank you
Bish
so
Bash
much.
Bosh.
Thank you.
Before we go, two more questions. Well, the last
Okay.
one's not necessarily a question, but the first one is I know you call people zombies, but just kidding. How do you relate to people? What is your way of relating to people?
Do good. I try to do good. Be good with people. I'm a firm believer in karma. What goes around comes around. What you give people, you will get it back.
Yeah.
So you do good to people, you relate good with them. Even if the person has stabbed a knife in your stomach, you can still tell him it's not late, just remove it, or say something good. And that is what he will remember for life. Maybe he might change. I just gave you an example, but yeah, I think I'm a firm believer in karma. So do good, be good, and yeah, I think that will come back to you.
I think you hit. Yeah. No, I think you hit two birds with one stone. Because the last question is going to be leave us with a positive thought or a positive quote. So if you want to add something else, please feel free to. The stage is yours.
I think I did already. I think we must live our life as we feel. Life is short, and I think it's very repetitive. Everyone says that, but it's very true. We don't value life enough. We don't value things enough. And again, going back to what I said earlier, you do good, and good will be blessed upon you. Again, I just like to end on a note from my religion.
Yeah,
it's like when you so in our religion, when you make dua, or when you supplicate upon someone, when you pray for someone, when you make a dua, make a wish, pray for someone, the amount of genuineness that you put into your heart in that supplication, God wills for that supplication upon you as well. He puts that, he wishes that, he does that for you as well. The angels come and supplicate it for you. So there's, I think, no better way to live than to live nicely, than to be good. And I think the world needs better people. The world needs, faith in humanity has been lost. We need to restore that. There are good people in life, like you, Prateek, honestly. And yeah, just be good, do good, and good will come to you. That's what I'd like to end on. Thank you so much for having me, dude. It's been a pleasure. My mouth hurts. I love talking, and I've had 5-6 hour sessions with my best friend who's in France. I think I can have more sessions with you. It's just so interesting to talk. You're a good listener. I'm not sure if I let you speak enough.
No, you did, totally. You did.
I'm a good listener too, but I think it was 80% me talking and 20% you talking, and it was not fair. So I'd like to give you the chance back someday. I want to listen to you for 4 hours, double the time, because I believe in giving back again. You listen so much, I want to give that back to you. I hope we have more sessions like this, not for more tedious tasks for you to record, but just off air, just for us.
Yes, yeah.
Again, thank you so very much, dude. It's been a pleasure talking.
Totally,
and
thank you.
Sorry about the noise and the lighting.
It's okay.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure if you just put my voice, I think that should be important. You can just put, talking to a ghost back in Dubai. It's so bad. I might as well not put it. Just put the audio.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm here for the conversation more so than anything else. So I'm grateful for you for taking your time out. And I know it's the holy month of Ramadan and you fasting at this time. So for you to spend your time during this time, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really do. Yeah. And I mean, we'll have a conversation briefly off air, but yeah, I really appreciate.
Yes.
Thank you so
All right.
much. And to all of you listening and watching,
welcome.
thank you so much for joining us. Take care.
Take care. You too.
Thank you for watching this episode of Perspective Platoon with Prateek. Make sure to follow Shahrose on her social media accounts and mention in the comment section below some of the things that you found interesting, intriguing, or relatable about this conversation. Make sure to also check the description box below for other sources of information and content that we might have discussed about today. Make sure to like this video, share it around, and subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell icon to never miss another episode. If you've made it this far, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you joining in on the conversation and seeking relatability, as random as it may be. Until next time, stay safe, take care, and don't forget to keep your mind open to different perspectives, because you never know, random relatability might just be around the corner.